Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today we're going to take up 21 votes on election-related bills or resolutions, including this one. Unfortunately, the majority of them do nothing to promote democracy and the patriotic act of voting. In fact, some of them are truthfully motivated by what I can only assume is fear of the combo of a Democratic majority and a Democratic governor. You know that the governor has the power to veto, so you take the dramatic step of meddling with the state constitution. As is often the case in this body, unfortunately, I feel that the legislation before us today is born out of fear and distrust, fear of what-ifs, or the persistent belief that there are bad actors that are rampant among us, ready to do everything from claiming false identities to committing election fraud. Whether it's verification of citizenship or requiring photo identification, or distrusting how elections grant money would be spent, I've observed that one core difference between the Democrats and the Republicans is whether or not we trust the people of Wisconsin. Distrust in Wisconsinites and distrust in the system of checks and balances that we have in place to ensure the rare occasions when someone does break the law, that they are caught and that they are prosecuted. I prefer to legislate about existing problems, not made-up ones. I prefer to legislate from an assumption of good, rather than assuming a Disney villain lurks behind every corner to try and lie and cheat and steal their way into getting what they want. Here's the reality, Mr. Speaker. It's already illegal for non-U.S. citizens to vote, and it's stated so in the Wisconsin Constitution. There is not a deluge of non-citizens attempting to vote in Wisconsin. Another reality, 203 cities, towns, and villages received grant money to assist with safe and secure and accurate election administration in the middle of a global health pandemic. Another one, voter impersonation fraud is one of the rarest forms of crime in the U.S. Incident rates are so small that it's actually statistically more likely that someone be struck by lightning than to commit impersonating of another voter at the polls. But here we are today, we're voting on constitutional amendments born out of fear and distrust, and voting on an enormous slate of bills that don't actually do what they are attempting to do, or to fix the problems that actually exist. What I wish we were doing was promoting democracy. I wish we were encouraging people to vote. I wish we were bringing forward bills which educate Wisconsinites on why voting is important and how our elections work. I wish we were putting forward bills that say we believe in the inherent right of every U.S. citizen to vote, young people, old people, black, brown, indigenous people, poor people, people with a disability, people who have never voted before. I wish we were talking about bills that recognize removing barriers to voting does not mean inviting fraud. That we are passing bills that are recognizing making it more convenient and accessible to vote is a good thing. That being worthy of voting is inherent in our citizenship, not dependent on how many hoops we have jumped through or how many obstacles we have overcome. You don't earn the right to vote, you possess the right to vote. As an American citizen of age and not on papers, this is your right. It is your right if you are poor, if you are black, brown, indigenous, if you're straight, if you're LGBTQ, if you're Republican, if you're Democrat, if you're verbal, if you're nonverbal, if you're educated, if you're not educated, if you're able-bodied, if you have a disability, if you work in an office or a factory or you don't work at all. Voting is your American right, and we need to do everything in our power to reserve and preserve that right and encourage all who have this right exercise it in each election. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.